Rogue tier, we still winning. Magic card, oh, we extending. Dark Law, he still contending. Sunrise, your lights in it.
Yugi peoples, welcome to the commentary. In today's video, we're going to have a couple lessons on Nibiru and the importance of watching the blinky for when your opponent is able to activate things. Alright, so you can see right here, my hand is really good. I already got mass change, I got hero lives, I got graceful charity, and my opponent just basically desires ends turn. So I assume that he's on sword soul and that he has a bunch of hand traps at this point. And of course, there goes the first one, Max C, but we got the Ash to counter that, which is one of the main reasons why we run 3 Ash and why we run multiple cross-out designators, because Max C is just like one of those cards that's a turn ender. Like, sometimes you play into it if you really just want to, but it's better not to. And then I'm also concerned that my opponent has Nibiru, and this is one of the things that, you know, it's real important with heroes, is knowing like how to kill your opponent in less than 5 summons. And this is one of those turns where it's just like, oh, okay, I got mass change, I know that all I need on the board is Sunrise, and I have plenty of damage with mass change in order to kill him. So we're at 3 summons right now. We got our Sunrise effect, we got our graceful charity effect. Like I said, we got mass change in hand, so we already got lethal. We don't have to activate miracle fusion either. Go ahead and throw that way, go to battle phase, get in for 1600 and get hit with Numeron wall. So I'm sure as many of y'all know, this is a really hard going second deck. I'm not sure how he ended up going first, because sometimes like I miss the countdown and I don't pick, and it'll, you know, the thing randomly picks for you. So maybe that's how he ended up going first. But yeah, so at this point I know this deck probably plays kaijus and like all kinds of board breakers and stuff. So my goal now is to get multiple interruptions on the board. Mostly like DPE Dark Law is the main thing that I'm aiming for at this point. That way, you know, if he does kaiju one, he still has to worry about the other. So yeah, that becomes my goal at this point. So I start going into my little combos, combining things. I'm gonna bring out the Boy Wonder, activate Bally's effect so I can get my poly back. And then with poly, we're gonna go ahead and make DPE, that denier engrave. So now at this point, I want to also make sure that I have a dark target for the mass change that I have. So we're gonna activate denier's effect, special summon him back to the board, and put Mally up on top. So now you might be thinking to yourself, but you're gonna draw Mally Boy next turn if you do that. Well, after the battle phase, my opponent started blinking. You know, he blinked for a little bit there and then it kind of stopped, which means he cut it off in the middle of my combo. But he wasn't blinking before I started my combo and before I went into the battle phase, so that let me know that, hey, I hit 5 summons and he has Nibiru. And so with that knowledge going into the end phase of my turn, I know that I need to go ahead and trigger out the Nibiru. So that's why I activated the denier to get him on the board. Otherwise, the only interruption I have on board is DPE, and he might just let that slide without Nibiru because he can just, you know, kaiju me or whatever. So I make sure that I have a Vast Hero Dark Law target on the board. He's going to activate the Nibiru, but because I did put the Mally on top, I'm able to just activate Mally Boy's effect and bring him out on the board, so that next turn I still end up having DPE Dark Law on the board. Also, just don't forget that when you have DPE on board and your opponent Nibiru's, don't forget to chain DPE's effect. I know it's much easier to remember in game because, you know, there are notification things that pop up and ask you if you want to activate it, but, you know, just don't forget to activate it. Like I said earlier, this is a really hard going second deck. So you see my opponent has Droplet, he's got the Twin Twister. He activates the Twin Twister, he hits my Call by the Grave, which I go ahead and chain to banish that Numeron wall, and he hits my Forbidden Droplet, and he missed the mass change. So, like, even if my opponent had hit the mass change with the Twin Twister and he has Droplet, what would happen was I would chain the mass change, and then he would be forced to Droplet at that point, because once Dark Law hits the board, he can't Droplet. So either way, even if he had hit the mass change, he was about to get hit with Dark Law. and only have one card left in hand. And with Dark Law on the board, the field spell, it has to send for cost to the graveyard, so he can't even activate the field spell in order to do his Numeron OTK thing. So he was just like in a no-win situation at that point. This next game right here is a very short game. My opponent just surrendered, but I wanted to talk about one of the plays that I made. It was like a big play mistake in this game. So right here you see I activate Ferris. I'm going to go ahead and counter the Max C with Ash, even though there is an argument to use cross out because Ash is better on my opponent's turn. So, you know, I guess there is an argument to have used crossed out instead of Ash. But then also with cross out, it's more versatile and I can use it against the other hand traps like Imperm, Valor, and Nibiru. So I go ahead and use Ash instead of cross out. You see, I also did not activate my Shadow Miss effect. So obviously I'm trying to make our boy who's still contending Dark Law by summoning Elemental Hero Graceful Charity and using his effect to special summon Shadow Mist from the grave and searching out the mass change. Alright, by summoning Mally Boy right here, I actually end up making a really big play mistake. And what happens is, like, when I have Crossout Designator, I tend to kind of get sloppy in my comboing because I'm not afraid of Nibiru anymore at this point. But by activating Mally Boy, like, I take away some of my Nibiru insurance because now I can no longer banish Mally Boy to be able to get like Cross Crusader back out on the board. And right here you're gonna see that I do end up getting nibbed. You know, it's good that I had the cross out designator and my opponent's gonna go ahead and quit the game right there. But looking at my board state and what I was trying to accomplish, if I didn't have cross out designator, I was most likely losing that game. Because if I get nibbed right here, the only thing I can do is activate Fusion Destiny, send Denier, send Plasma, and special summon DPE. I have nothing else to normal summon. I didn't activate my Shadow Mist effect, so I end up losing that as well. And it's just like a big failure of a turn. So what I should have done is just use the Vion and increase in order to make Cross Crusader, not use my Mally Boy's effect. That way the Cross Crusader summon effect of Mally Boy would have been my 5th summon. Then my opponent nibs right there. I can go ahead and activate Fusion Destiny, send Denier, send Plasma, and then I can activate Mally Boy's effect to banish himself, activate Denier's effect to put him back on top, and I can make Cross Crusader again, and I don't have to use his special summon effect. I can just banish Mally Boy to special summon himself back out on the board, tribute him with Cross Crusader, and add my Elemental Hero Graceful Charity and still be able to make my Dark Law play. That's just one of the things I wanted to go over. You know, as a hero player, we have to always play around nib, and I definitely didn't do it that game, but you know, I let y'all know how it should have been done. So I hope it helps. Appreciate everybody for watching. Like, subscribe, comment, and I'll catch you next time. Stay away.